Pastor David McLean's office, I began to explain to my pastor about a unique ministry God was wanting to expand in my life. Since 2010, my family has involved with developing and hosting a prayer event at the Bridge Community Church in Hutto, Texas. The prayer ministry started with my son, Walker. One day he said, "God told me to have a 48-hour prayer meeting." I responded, 48 hours is a long time. How about 24? Walker tossed the 24-hour prayer meeting back at me. I understand, but God told me the prayer meeting is to be 48 continuous hours of prayer, not 24. It turned out his sister Teresa was on board with the 48 hours of prayer. Walker and Teresa were both young teenagers. They were eager to experience more time in God's presence, and I was too. The Ballard family experienced the first 48 hours of prayer at the Bridge Community Church. Then 6 months later, Pastor David invited the whole church. Twice each year, my family organizes and hosts the 48-hour prayer event. Now God was nudging me to expand the prayer event. I believe God was wanting to share the prayer experience with churches in the states along the Gulf of Mexico. I believe God was wanting to form a firewall of his presence in the United States. I believe that the Holy Spirit fire was going to move throughout our nation. Pastor David was excited to tell me about the District School of Ministry and the new Austin campus. I enrolled immediately in the program. Just like our home church needed to engage in day and night prayer, I wanted to be involved in encouraging other churches to pray day and night as well. Psalm 88 says, "Lord, you are the God who saves me. Day and night I cry out to you. May my prayer come before you. Turn your ear to my cry." Listen to the words found in Zechariah chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. "Jerusalem will be a city without walls, because of the great number of people and animals in it. And I myself will be a wall of fire around it, declares the Lord. And I will be its glory within." And how about what Jesus said? "My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations." God is making all things new. All things new. For the graduates here today, we have finished our School of Ministry track, whether it be certified, licensed, or ordained. God is changing things in our life. We are moving from one place to another, a new place. The idea is to move with God. When God says move, then we change our position and advance forward. When he says stop, then we stand still and wait. Moses in the Old Testament had his own unique experience with moving and stopping. Moses had the responsibility of leading millions of people, and maybe we do too. Exodus chapter 13 tells us, "By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night." Later in the book of Exodus, the Lord replied to Moses, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Then Moses said to him, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with our people? unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people on the face of the earth? I agree with Moses. If God's presence is not going to be there, then I'm not going to be there either. I have a daughter named Teresa, who is a missionary with the Assemblies of God. She moved to another continent while I was taking classes at the licensed minister level. Teresa lives in an Islamic country. I'm glad she's there. I don't worry about her. Instead, I pray for her. I pray that the people she is ministering to will see the awesome love of God and will choose to follow Jesus Christ. I know that the best place and the safest for her is where God sends her. She still loves to be in God's presence, and she still sets aside time for 48 hours of prayer. Day and night, my daughter Teresa is going with God. Day and night, I'm going with God. What else will distinguish us from all the other people on the face of the earth? Don't go for 1 minute without the presence of God. With God's presence, we will experience blessings from heaven and success on earth. In the book of Matthew, Jesus tells us, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." Jesus sends each of us here today. It is a clear message. Go and make disciples of all nations. So let's go. Go with God.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for that wonderful address today.